Okay, good morning, traders. It is May 15th. It's a Wednesday. It is 6:22 a.m. Pacific time. I just realized that I've been talking to myself for the last 5 or 6 minutes or so because the microphone was not on. Basically just what I was saying is that I was able to, prior to doing any sort of review, kind of skipping over my routine, which I don't like doing, I was able to jump in because I just saw an opportunity to pull back to the overnight high. It's actually a little bit more of a deeper pullback than I would like to see, but it seems like we have a good amount of volatility back today, in contrast to yesterday, which was basically dead. So I was able to place a trade and get a little bit continuation up. Everything worked out per plan, so that's good. I'll leave that in the video. Unfortunately, you won't have any audio to go along with it, but that's basically just a pullback to the overnight high with the weakness in equities, along with the manufacturing production number that came out that was a pretty big miss, very bearish number. So I was just counting on all those factors coming together to push the ZN higher, and everything worked out for me. So that's the quick scenario or quick recap on that trade. So let's get back to our normal process. What you're looking at here is the Jigsaw daytradr platform. These are price ladders, order books. If you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that all the way over here on the left is the Ultra Bond. Typically don't trade that, and I'll kind of go into that today. I was thinking about maybe explaining why I trade specific markets and not others. Here, second to the left is the 30-year symbol ZB. Right here in the middle is the ZF, which is the 5-year Treasury. Right here is the ZN, which is the 10-year Treasury. All the way over here on the right is the ES. It's the E-mini S&P 500. And this typically works as an inverse correlation to these other fixed income products. If you want more information about this, I suggest you go to the Jigsaw YouTube channel. I'll put a little link up here in the right hand corner if you want to check it out. So let's move on to the overnight price action. We have about 5 minutes till cash open, so we have a little bit of time. Again, I don't like to engage in the first 15 or so minutes, so we got some time to go through this, so I'm not going to rush. I will go ahead and show a chart here. This is probably the only time we'll look at a chart today. So this is the overnight action in the 10-year T-Note, the June contract. Still trading June for another few weeks. So it was kind of dead, as you can see, across the board here. Then right around 2 a.m. Central Time, I think this is, just started this slow grind higher. You get pulled back to support, bought it right back up. Exceeded the high by a couple ticks, pulled right back in, bought it right back up. I think the overnight was right around this area, if I recall. So we've already penetrated the overnight high, and we've dropped back in. This was the little drop back that I just explained. It was a little bit deeper than I thought it would be, but I was able to buy this up. There's some delay here, so this is already back up to the high. So that's your overnight action. Let's see here. Really quick, let's look at, so basically it's, with the bearishness in equities, we have kind of a trend day going on thus far, at least for the overnight. I don't know if that's going to continue, but we'll just keep an eye on it. As far as the economic calendar for releases, these have already come out. I think retail sales were a little down. It's kind of bearish. Industrial production, that's one that just came out at That's 6:15 my time, Pacific time. That was a big miss. We have some Fed speakers, but don't really know if these are movers, but we'll keep an eye on that. That comes out at 7 o'clock my time. And petroleum status, we really don't care about that. Speakers typically, Fed speakers typically don't move our market that much, but I mean, these days you never know. You never know what's going to move these markets around, tweets and all the rest of it. So just got to stay nimble. That's my advice. Cut down on your contract size, maybe half it, or whatever you're comfortable with, and anticipate a couple more ticks as far as your stops. That would be my advice. Okay, so areas of interest. Basically, if we get some sort of pullback to the overnight high, I think we've already kind of done a double top here. That's sort of where we'd be looking. Try to see some sort of buying absorption. Looks like it's happened a little bit here at 26. So keep an eye on that. That's kind of what we'd look at for a short, is testing the retest of the high. Actually, now that I have the chart out, let me look and see. If we go longer term here, yeah, I'm not really seeing. I was looking for some sort of like long-term structural. I guess you could have a long-term double top here. I mean, might even be approaching that level. Yeah, so that would be basically you're looking at 125 even. So that would act as resistance, I would think. So we'll note that on our book. It's kind of up here, but that would be 4 R's for like long-term resistance. If we do get up to that level, you can see some longer time frame traders maybe want to act on that. Yeah, but otherwise, pull back to the overnight high. That's going to act as some support, I would think. Or else kind of the overnight low. Ideally, we'd like to look for things to calm down a little bit and settle into a range and just sort of trade it back and forth. That's the game. Ideally, that is the action that we like to see. Just go back and forth, get some size going, and just bang it back and forth. And scalp it. That's why a couple of these overnight sessions have been really good for that. I think Sunday I was able to come in and just pull out some really quick money. I saw that I got a notification that we had gapped down in equities, like pretty major. So I figured that the Treasury markets and bond markets would be pretty active, and sure enough, they were. So on Mother's Day, I was able to pull out a little bit of cash, which was nice. That's why I almost didn't trade on Monday. But yeah, did it anyway, and that's why I think what led into my sort of my full cowboy nature on Monday of just kind of going buck wild. I felt like I was playing with the free money there a little bit, but time to put that sort of mentality away, if you ask me. Stick to the plan, stick to what we're comfortable with and what we know works. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking here. Just had cash open, as you can see. So we're kind of letting this settle out. So we fell back into the overnight high, and it just sort of blew right through it, which kind of leads me, my suspicion was how messy everything was. We didn't really have a definitive high, I guess overnight high, as far as like structural support on a chart, just because it just sort of blew through it, kind of messy, that I didn't really think that would hold up all that well, and it really didn't. It just blew right down through it. So I'm thinking down here in this level, if there was a trade, it would be down at 22, 21 half, 21, and looking for a continuation higher. Just using a little bit of the volume profile for that, as well as, the previous pullback came all the way down into here. That did have something to do with the numbers, though. The announcements that came out at that time. So those make it a little bit tricky from a charter's perspective, I think, because on a chart it looks like it's, actually hitting that range, but when you look at the volume and how much actually printed at that level, it doesn't show you how quickly it was rejected or if it actually consolidated at that level. And I think that context, as far as using that as a clue, is very important, in my opinion. So again, we're still early. It's only 9 minutes after cash open. This kind of volatility is pretty much expected at this time. So I'm still sitting on my hands waiting, probably at least for another, who knows, but I think as of right now, we'd have to get back up to the high and look for this thing to drop back in. That's kind of my only trade at this point. I don't really like the continuation trade higher unless we see incredible weakness over here in the E-mini. If it just starts dumping out, then we could jump on some sort of a momentum going higher. But otherwise, it's just looking to short this thing back down. Again, you got to keep in mind this is a mean regression product, so most of the time it trades back down to the center. And yesterday was actually a really good example of just, we had this slow grinding higher equity rally, quote unquote, and I think the ZN held like through that whole March higher, the ZN held like 2 or 3 ticks below the overnight low. It just sat there. Nobody wanted to sell it down because it just wanted to regress back up to the mean. So regress back to the center, I should say. It's just a really good example of how this product typically trades from my observations. So it might be tempting to take a long here based on the E-mini falling back in and kind of using the overnight high as some support. But in my opinion, it's still too early in the cash open to trust anything at this point. We're still seeing a little bit too much volatility. It might work out, but it might not. It's just a kind of the probability is a little low. We're still in the middle of this range, so you don't know exactly where you're wrong. Could be wrong way down here. Look at this price action. Just insane. Like, why would you trade this? What can you do with this? This is just, it's all over the place. That's all. I don't know what else to say at this point. It's just, I mean, lots of size running through this market right now over here. So still just watching. I don't like the context right now. Probably just take an extended break. Do something else for like a good half hour. See if things clean up right around European close. Who knows where we'll be at that point. Could be all the way back down into the overnight range. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking now. So I'll let the video run, but I'm just going to shut the mic off and let this thing do what it needs to do. What a motherfucking goddamn mess. How are you supposed to trade this? Unbelievable. U.S. Treasury Munchin says still a lot of work to do on China trade negotiations. And then this bullshit happens. All technicals go out the window. It's just oh, so there's another President Trump reportedly planning auto import tariff delay up to 6 months. So that's what's That's what's causing this equity rally here. But yeah, good luck. Good luck trying to participate in this horse shit. Might just throw in the towel for the day. Or come back in, like I said, an hour or so. And if that's the case, I'll restart the video. But yeah, I don't really see any opportunities now or anytime soon, unfortunately, with the volatility and just the trade war bullshit. Unless we get back up to the highs. Typically what happens sometimes is if any of you guys follow FT71, he has a term called scene of the crime, and that's kind of where price action was, where we were trading when the tweet happened. You get the spike up or down, whatever the case may be, and then typically price will trade right back to that area. So I was kind of expecting that to happen, or anticipating that to happen. But who knows? Who knows these days? It's just the price action is just too inconsistent and volatile for my trading style. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut the video off. If things slow down a little bit, I'll fire it back up. I'll make sure. But as of right now, I just don't see any opportunities. So that's it. Yeah, the plan was to trade this back down if it went to the high again, but we never got back up there. And now that we're in this range here, we just don't know where we are wrong. And that's just not acceptable for me. So if I don't come back on, then I'll see you guys manana. Good luck. Have fun trading this stuff.